Hey Marvin, thanks for your videos, always a pleasure. I like what you said about, I'm going to use that, making the videos like a performance. And the thing I like about that idea, I mean that's certainly one of the reasons the whole video thing is working so well for people is that you have to record every week, which is, there's a lot of pressure there. I find, at least when I turn on the recording machine, it's different, in kind of a good way, but sometimes it undermines me a little bit and it makes me focus. And I feel like if I can comfortably make a recording, I can play in public no problem. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's a similar kind of pressure. But the other thing I like about that idea of it being a performance, the lesson video, is that there's no getting out of it. If we've got a performance booked, show must go on. You have to show up, and I can't tell you. Hasn't been too many performances in my life, and I've had lots of performances where I got there and I'm like, yeah, another week or two of practicing wouldn't have made any difference for me. Like this, I'm good. I'm ready to go. There have been a couple where I've had the opportunity to play the same piece with the same people on numerous occasions. There's one particular event that's actually I'm thinking of right now, where we did a noon hour recital and we played this one piece. It's like a 9-movement piece. It was composed for us. We premiered it. We played it in a competition. We recorded it for 2 different recording companies, including CBC. I think we did parts of it live to air on CBC. And it's just like, you know what? I think we're ready. I think we're good here. But other than that, I always feel like I wish I could do a little more prep, but gotta play, so off you go. And so that's often the resistance that people have. So again, I'm preaching to the choir because you're not having that problem. But I do appreciate you framing it that way because it gives me stuff that I can say to other people, to other students that are maybe struggling with that or misunderstanding that in a way that you don't. I'm glad that you're focused on getting the bell up, you mentioned, working with the arbins, and it was good. I think you said that you didn't get to the syncopation yet. I don't want you to be avoiding that. I know it's a little intimidating, but really worth it. But good to finish up that section on the arbor. So you've done number 50. That's like you've graduated. That's a diploma at some point. It's at least a 2-year college certificate or something. That's a significant milestone. So just so you know. And you're doing your Claude Gordon, and you're doing your repertoire. I think that's it for the comments. Okay, so Claude Gordon number 14. Awesome. Double-tongued. You're double-tonguing. It almost sounds like you're slurring in pairs. I'm getting a doggy, doggy, doggy. And play it like the Arvids. Ducky, 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 ducky. I'm sorry, I know that's not the right notes. Ducky, 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 ducky. Match the note lengths and match the beginnings of the notes, just like the Arvids. The bigger intervals will actually be a lot easier with a shorter note. You worked on your scales with the metronome. That sounds really great, actually. I think that's good for you. I think that's good timing. There's a lot of ways to go. When you get to the point where you're at, where you know the scales as well as you do, there's a lot of different things that can be done depending on what you want to do. For example, if you want to be an improviser, I'll be making an instructional video for everybody about that, particularly for people who want to be improvisers, but even for those who don't. At any rate, my point is there's a lot of different things that we can do, and playing them with a metronome is a really strong thing to do, especially considering how far you've come in that specific area, both in scales and with working with the metronome. So I think it's really great. There might be a time when you start thinking about applying different kinds of rhythms to the scales, and that's something that we could talk about for sure, and that would be a really good direction to take with a metronome. But great, I just said so good, and I said good bell awareness, and you played down, whoops, got to get it back up again. That's it. You do that, the problem is basically solved. Just keep doing that. Arbin's number 50 at 70, full marks, nice even rhythm. Move the music stand to get the bell up. That's a big one. You're absolutely right. It's worse for trombone players because they have this ridiculous slide to deal with, and you have to get well over, and then you're looking to the side of your glasses and stuff. But we just have to. We just have to. In some situations, like in big bands, they have these horrible they're music stands, but they're low and you can't bring them up. And they, they have the symbol or the name of the band in front, and they're just little desks, and they sit back there, and everybody has to play over top, and so everybody's looking like underneath your instrument to see the music. Terrible. I actually got to play with a very experienced player for quite some years, guy who played all over the world, and I said, hey Bob, how do you play with these stands? Can you give me some tips? He says, oh, I hate these things. I always hated these things. So it's not just me. So so a regular music stand is actually easier to deal with than those big band stands that sometimes we have to deal with. Okay, so sorry, back to the Arbans. Definitely move on. Yeah, like I said, you graduated from that whole first section of the Arbans. You've made so much progress. I think really good to flip back and just look and remember how difficult some of those early exercises are. Maybe even play them if you feel like it and you have the time. How far you've come is just fantastic. If you even listened back some of the lesson ones you made, back when you're doing the number 11 and number 12, 13, 14, 15, the first couple of pages of that section, you have come such a long way. And you didn't sound bad back then, but you sound like way better now. So it's kind of great. The lower notes, number 50, could be even shorter. There's a tendency, which is also exactly what happened in the Claude Gordon. You're getting a long, short, long, short, long. That's why it's almost sounded like slurring in pairs in the Claude Gordon. Short, 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 or whatever it is, long, 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 but same is what we're after with virtually everything. So we want everything to be the same unless we decide for musical reasons that we want something intentionally to be different. And then it'll have some impact. If it's just randomly different, or if it's just different because it's the range, if these notes are long because they're low, it doesn't work. And it's really worth figuring out whatever we have to figure out to how to play those low notes shorter if that's what's holding us up, right? Whatever it might be. And that brings us to, I'm sorry, let's turn off the sound. There you go. Moniker of the C at 70%, sounding really good. Double tongue in the eighth notes, which is great. Even shorter with those eighth notes. This is only 70%, so at the faster tempo it'll be quite a bit shorter. But you're not even as short as a trumpet player on the recording at 70%. Ideally, what you like to be doing when you're practicing things under tempo. Sorry, it just started pouring outside. When you're dealing with things under tempo, you want to be playing the notes as short as they will be at the fast tempo, right? But in this case, you're actually playing, longer than they will be, because if you consider what the recording is, as short as what's on the recording or shorter at the slower tempos, so that you can play the correct note length at the faster tempo, and you'll find that your rhythm is better. That it'll be easier to be right on top and be right with it, and not be kind of a little bit behind. A lot of that just has with the sound production system is just taking too long to finish, but it's also can take too long to start, and that's a lot of what things like the Arbans really does for us. It gives us a very crisp and very immediate attack, even if we're playing long notes. We get a rather than because we've learned to go top. We've learned to control the beginning of the notes, so we get something really beautiful in any context. Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at my own notes. Yes, so I just said shorter notes are great preparation for speed. You said you were missing the repertoire after a few days. You were busy and you couldn't do everything, so I think you made really good choices. Certainly if it was me, it would be like Claude Gordon, scales, Arbans. I don't have time for other things. But after a few days of that, and if that was going to be permanent, like all I have is 20 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever to practice these days, because for the next 3 months I've got a big project and I'm just not going to be available, then I would be doing that, 3 days a week, maybe 2 days a week. I'd just be playing nothing but repertoire for those practice sessions. That's the first, what occurs to me is, how would I deal with that situation? And I think my playing would improve considerably if I took a tack like that. But I think you're right. You can't just, live on a diet of, intravenous food or something. You have to eat something that gives you pleasure at some point. So great work as always. And as always, have a great week. Enjoy your practicing. And if you have any questions, just send me a quick email and I'll get right back to you. Thanks, Marvin.